Who was Alexis de Tocqueville? Alexis de Tocqueville was born in an aristocratic French family in the beginning of 19th century. At that time, France was going through different political changes, including a revolution, different constitutions, shifts between monarchy and republic. Tocqueville saw how political system could be unstable without good democracy. And in 1831, Tocqueville and his colleague traveled to the United States, officially to discover American prison, but the true purpose was much wider. Tocqueville had a bigger goal. He wanted to observe the first large modern democracy. He believed that democracy, especially social equality, was the future of Europe and the world. But at the same time, he was worried about democracies could develop new kinds of despotism. Tocqueville did not just want to describe American elections or government institutions. He wanted to understand democracy as a way of life shaped by equality. He believed that equality in society was the most important feature in the modern history, even more important than constitutions, laws, and political leaders. Tocqueville saw that equality was not only a legal idea, but also a psychological and cultural force. It influenced how people saw themselves, how they treated others, how it took part in a society, and how they thought about future. He wanted to understand how equality could help increase freedom, but also how it can create problems. He believed that once equality started to spread, it would change everything. Politics, social relationships, moral values, and even how people feel themselves. One major result of equality is individualism. As we know, in aristocratic societies, people were closely connected to family, traditions, or social ranks. But in democratic societies, people see themselves as more independent individuals, and this independence could encourage creativity, social movement, but at the same time can provoke the feeling of isolation. The key ideas of Tocqueville is a tension between equality and freedom. He believes that many people choose equality even if it means giving up some freedom. Equality feels fair and safe, while freedom requires personal responsibility, acceptance of differences, and dealing with uncertainty. What is soft despotism? Soft despotism is one of the most important warnings of Tocqueville. It describes a situation where the government slowly becomes powerful and takes control of more parts of social and economic life. People do not feel oppressed, instead, they may feel safe and cared for, but however, the downside is that people slowly lose their independence and interest in public life. Under soft despotism, people still have legal rights, but they become less involved in the society. Alexis de Tocqueville emphasized that in a democracy, political authorities originates from people rather than kings or aristocrats. And this fundamental shift promises freedom and equality. Tocqueville introduced the concept of tyranny of the majority as a distinct form of societal oppression. In democratic systems, the majority exerts influence through social pressure rather than force, affecting independent thought and diversity of ideas. This pressure promotes conformity, which ultimately undermines the variety of viewpoints fundamental to a thriving democracy. Tocqueville argued that the settled conformity curtails critical debate essential for maintaining the dynamism of democratic institutions. Religion as a moral foundation for democracy. Tocqueville's view on religion in democracy. He argues that religion supports democracy not by governing politics directly, but by providing a moral foundation. Influence of religious values. Religious values such as self restraint, a sense of duty, and awareness of obligations help prevent democratic freedom from descending into selfishness or moral apathy. Church state separation in America. Tocqueville praised the American model of separating church and state, which lets religion influence society positively without threatening political freedom. Religion's role in ethical citizenship. This balance fosters responsible citizenship and upholds the ethical framework democracy needs to thrive. Democracy not only affects how countries are governed, but also how they act toward other nations. Democratic societies usually prefer peaceful solutions rather than violent. Democratic political culture also encourages dialogue and negotiation. Another key idea is moral equality. Democracies believe that all people have equal rights, values. And finally, the values practiced at home, such as freedom, equality, cooperation, are often reflected in the foreign policy. Tocqueville observed that democracies often spread their influence through soft power, cultural appeal, institutions, moral example, rather than relying only on military might. The attractiveness of democratic ideas like liberty, equality, and civil participation encourages other people to adopt similar norms. A democracy that values debate and pluralism internally tends to project those habits outward, shaping global behavior through example and persuasion. Strengths of Tocqueville's approach. Deep understanding of social foundations of democracy, explains political polarization, anticipates modern issues like populism, highlights importance of civil associations, connects democracy to morality and culture, offers a theory of long-term democratic development, helps explain democratic resilience, provides tools to diagnose democratic decline. Tocqueville still matters today because his ideas can help us to understand the challenges of modern democracy. He helps explain why democracy can weaken or backslide when people stop participating. He shows the importance of civic engagement and warns about dangers of political apathy. He also explains how social habits and cultural norms affect political outcomes and even how countries act on the international stage. His insights can help us understand modern issues like populism and challenges. And also, finally, Tocqueville offers useful lessons for strengthening democratic institutions and keeping democracy healthy for the future.